Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dave, and we have Eric here, and then we have our first real guest, Mike Wendland, who is the host of the RV Lifestyle channel on YouTube, the RVLifestyle.com blog and website, along with the RV podcast. And prior to all that, he was PC Mike on NBC TV. If you recognize him from there, with over 20 Emmy awards. Is that
No,
what I read? 20
18.
awards.
18.
Oh, all right. I was
18.
close. We were rounding up for you. We were trying to make it look
Oh,
good.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
okay.
But who's counting? Who's counting?
Well, we're counting the future ones.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's great to be with you guys.
So, Mike, you've been on the road for quite a while, and prior to the solution we're going to talk about here in a little bit, you had done some other sort of internet gadgetry prior to working with us. What could you describe sort of what that was like and what you were using before and some of the challenges that might have hit?
Yeah, this is our 12th year doing the RV lifestyle, traveling around the continent, doing stories and sharing videos and podcasts and stuff. And, in that period of time, I think I used for the first couple of years just a MiFi data card from Verizon. And then I kept running out of data as we began using it more and more. And then I got two MiFi data cards from Verizon. And then about a year or two after that, I had two data cards from Verizon and one data card from AT&T. And then we started experimenting with some routers, and that helped a little bit. And up until the last almost 3 weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks, 3 weeks now, we were using an older 4G PepWave router and a service that worked pretty good, except for this part of it, the upload part. Because of our demands of sending high-end video files, like just now, I just sent several gigs through for our YouTube video that we're going to release on Saturday to my editor, and it would have taken me 3 hours to send those files, and it was done here in about 4 minutes with the system that Eric and Andy from MobileMustHave installed on the roof of our Montana fifth wheel 3 weeks ago. So we've kind of tried all sorts of them. We've used tablets, we've used our phone, we've run out of data, and I think as many people have experienced, is if you spend a lot of time on the road and you really do need reliable internet, we've had a lot of frustration, and it's amazing I still have hair because there was a lot of hair that I've had over the years.
Yep.
But we've now, and we've had Starlink for almost 2 years, a year and a half now, and have had mixed luck with it. The new system, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is a flat roof, high efficiency, permanent mount. But you can't really see it, but it's right about there. Remember that, Eric, up there?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know your roof like I know my living room in my house.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't tell you when you were installing that, because these guys were up there most of the afternoon. I had a couple of we were at a rally for owners of Montana fifth wheels, and I had a couple of guys come up to me and they said, "Listen, we're really concerned." He said, "That's a brand new RV you have. What was wrong with your roof?" All those guys were up there. Nothing, man. I got a great roof now.
There was a lot of tools up there. What were they doing?
Yeah, they thought there was some massive problem with it. But
yeah, is this a warranty issue? No, you're okay.
Yeah,
Mike, I genuinely somewhat take it personally when I hear that story on the internet, because you were paying all of those different data bills because you needed to be connected. And while you had a lot of different options to get out to the internet, none of them worked together at the same time. So you were always, like, I call it hotspot roulette, because you kind of just you sort of dive into whatever one you're paying all the bills, but none of them work together. So it's like, is Starlink, what's the one thing that I'm going to most likely, luckily, get out of hot water with today? And as a guy who does a lot of these live streams, that can't be a fun pit in your stomach when you hope that T-Mobile or Verizon is the flavor of the day, so to speak.
And I should point out, our needs are certainly not that of the typical RVer who wants good, reliable internet. They have trouble too finding it, but mine are pretty intense. We do a live stream every Sunday night with well over 1,000 simultaneous viewers and thousands more during the week. And we never know quite where we're going to be on Sunday. And there's been times when we've gotten just started and I don't have enough upload speed and it just dies. And that's you only have one chance if they're going to stick with you. And if the signal dies, they're gone. And it was just so frustrating. And we've done, I think, 3 since then, and they've all worked just flawlessly, as we are now. We're using this new system to come to you right now. I guess I could mess with you guys. I could go, I could do stuff like that, but it seems to be working.
Well, ironically, if I start breaking up, I'm using a traditional home internet connection right now. So I'm not using the products that I recommend. So sorry, that's something I'm fixing in the studio as we speak. But I mean, just to recap our conversation, I know you guys talk to a lot of people in the industry, but it was, appreciate the information, but if this isn't going to materially change my situation, don't waste my time, so to speak. And I was happy to take you up on that bet and drive halfway across the country to prove what we can do. And it sounds like it's working out.
Yeah, it has worked out really great. And I'm sure you can get into exactly what you did. I feel like I'm scooping myself here, though, because I do plan a full video on this for our people. And I've been telling them for 3 weeks, I got this great new solution, but wait until I finish testing it. And now they're all going to know about it. But
well, don't worry. We don't have any subscribers on this yet.
Oh, so well, then good.
Trust me, this live stream is probably not going to be the dam that breaks that news for you.
Okay.
So
well,
you'll be okay.
It's my old
We're still easing into this concept.
Yep.
So I think that's a great segue. Eric, do you want to talk about a little bit what the thought process was behind the solution you put together for Mike?
Yeah, so Mike had a couple solid ingredients in his previous setup, and to be honest, he purchased his Peplink from a competitor, but I know that competitor, they do a decent job, and I think he was somewhat of the way there, meaning he had reliable hardware to connect out to the internet, and he had 2 data plans inside that. So he had multiple cellular connections that he could use to get out to the internet. When we dove into this setup, he also had a Verizon hotspot, and I think the Starlink had kind of gone to the wayside at that point. Tried it, didn't really give the reliability.
It just if we were east of the Mississippi, we found Starlink did not perform nearly as well, and we do a lot of boondocking. It didn't do well with any kind of trees. So I was a little skeptical of Starlink when you told me that became the heart of this system. But with that new, larger antenna, I'm giving the story away here before we get to it, but I am like thrilled with Starlink, just thrilled with it. And it's been complete difference. So
so we essentially unified the situation. So what we have at the core of Mike's setup is what's called a BR2, a Peplink Max BR2 mobile command center. It's this thing. And we'll show pictures of the install. But essentially, this is 2 5G cellular internet connections that are out to the internet. Carrier, it doesn't matter what carrier you want to be on. It'll take all the SIM cards. T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T certified. You could stick a Google Fi SIM in there. Whatever you want to do, it'll typically work. That's the core system that we installed for Mike. This is it's a high-end product, but the upload requirements that he had and the amount of data that he was passing was substantially higher than the average RVer, and he needed time is money when you're uploading big files like that. So that's at the core. And then we supplemented that with the Starlink fixed mount high performance in motion kit, which right out of the box without anything added integrates directly, because it's a professional grade device, integrates right into the Ethernet WAN port on this device. And the Peplink device then unifies or combines all of those connections into one single unified connection using the Speed Fusion technology that is proprietary to Peplink. And we set up 2 wireless networks in Mike's RV so that he doesn't have to do the hotspot roulette anymore. I was like, are you having fun on your smart TV with that tiny little remote trying to peck out your Wi-Fi password every time you switch from T-Mobile to, and he's like, looked at me like, you know about this? And I'm like, oh yeah, I've lived this. That's the worst thing about this whole situation. Every time you got to change, you got to hop to another Wi-Fi. So we unified it up, set up Mike with 2 Wi-Fi networks. One is a simple network that will always essentially pick whatever is kind of the most responsive internet connection he has available at any given time. He doesn't have to think about it. The device is going to go and test the connections, and he's going to use the one that, I mean, for the tech folks, has the lowest latency. That's how we set it up. It's kind of this, that's a good solid indicator of what one is probably the fastest. And then a second connection that has all the connections bonded together at all times. So he knows if I just want to use one connection, be the fastest, connect to my regular RV Lifestyle Wi-Fi. If I'm working and it's live stream and I need all that redundancy, I need my 4-wheel drive, I connect to my Fusion network. And that's it. Those are the 2 choices. And that's, I think, been working out pretty good. The only phone call I got was you kept texting me speed tests at the middle of the night going, this is awesome. So that seems like it was pretty good.
It really has been amazing. I mean, speed tests, I know, are, you know, you got to take all of them with a little bit of a grain of salt. But my workflow before, when I would go live, or if I needed to send some big files, I'd log on and first of all I'd go to speed test. Was Verizon better this time? Was AT&T better this time? What was my speed? If it was really low, then I would end up trying to phone somebody up and say, look, I can't send these files. There have been times that I would be out in the middle of nowhere and I couldn't send the file, and I'd have to drive into town and literally park next to a cell tower. I've gone to libraries and used their wireless, and that's just not feasible for people working from the road. So that's why I did. So I've been doing these speed tests a couple of times a day just to see if this thing if it's holding firm, and consistently well over 100 on uploads, often over 100. I mean, on downloads, and often over 100 on downloads and on uploads. So 100 and 100, amazing. I just checked just a few minutes before we went on now, and I'm doing about 105 download and 60 upload. And for reference, I have found for a halfway decent quality video signal, you really need to have at least 5 Mbps. I'm getting 60 right now, and that's actually the slowest it's been, but we're kind of prime time for a lot of people who are using the internet.
Yeah, and with this solution, a speed test won't indicate the true reliability of the connection, because I'm using more data, because I'm duplicating packets across more than one connection to give you stability. It's super technical, but long story short, I can't give you a super fast number in a speed test if I want you to have a really reliable connection, because I'm sending the same information down 2 different highways. But what the net effect for you is that you don't care what your speed test is, because it just works. And it's made the anxiety levels for me go way down with this live stuff. And you know, I just did a Mac update on my Mac, and it was like 9 gigs, I think 10 gigs for the file. It's like, oh. And on my old connections, that would have taken 6 hours probably. So it was much faster.
Yep. Very fast.
One other thing before we dive into the install, because we did some cool stuff on the physical install, because I know that was a new rig and we wanted to show off some of the things that our customers can do with some of our products. We're not an installer. We are working on a really cool partnership with a national installation network that we will have in the future to share with you folks. We're just making sure that we don't recommend anything that we don't feel 100% confident about, but these guys are, they're training the trainers. We'll put it that way. These are some of the best guys out there. So we do have installation assistance coming. But before we talk about that, the last thing that we gave Mike was a cutting edge beta test. It's coming out soon to the public. Fusion Sim data plan. What that essentially is, it's a MobileMustHave exclusive data plan that we gave to Mike that gives him access to all three major carriers through one data plan that he purchases from us. And we have a data center out in the cloud, and we load that up with all of our different data plans. And Mike has selected Verizon as his primary, but then we put AT&T and T-Mobile in his account. So his router without a SIM card will use the Starlink or the T-Mobile SIM that he has online, and it will go out and get another SIM card from the cloud and inject it into that second modem. So what that means is I can give Mike a data plan that's better at his specific location at the click of a button without having to send him anything or do anything. And I think that got you out a little hot water in one location. It wasn't bad, but T-Mobile was just on the fringe and you were parked under a tree. So
we were literally parked halfway under a tree. And there was a little bit, maybe about that much of the antenna that had a clear view of the sky. And even then it worked. It worked great.
It was working, but it had a little bit of packet loss. So we swapped the remote SIM from T-Mobile to Verizon, and boom, we were well past 100 meg really quickly. So that remote SIM, or what we call Fusion SIM product, is coming soon. But that means you can pay one bill and get three carriers essentially, which is a really cool technology we've been working on for a long time.
And again,
we're getting all kinds of sneak peeks of stuff that's coming down the pipe on this.
I could talk about all kinds of stuff when we don't have anyone listening. It's easy.
Hey, you got at least one. You got at least one out there.
No, we've got quite a few people watching actually. So
well, tell them to ask questions. I'm looking at the comment. I'm just looking at comments and saying, "Yeah, look at that."
Yeah, like the wall. Right?
Yeah, it really is. I'm just calling it magic, Eric. So I don't know how it works.
Magic.
To be able to use the three carriers and Starlink and pull the best out of all of that on a reliable basis around the clock really has been really amazing for us. I have to literally plan my trips, or I had up until now, on where am I going to be on Sunday night? Where am I going to have really good internet on Sunday night? And often we'll do live stuff, just as the week as RV stories break and everything. And am I in a place where I can get a good signal? And when I edit my video, it's a big file. It's several gigs. Am I going to be someplace on Thursday or Friday where I can get that loaded up to YouTube? And so it has affected our travel. We have some places we haven't been able to go because I got to be good internet on Thursday night or Sunday night. So it's like suddenly we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah,
that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I keep telling people that when I go to a new campground, I do not log into this stuff and check it and mess with it. I just kind of move on with my life. And, we do surveys when people purchase our products, and, we ask like, what was your biggest concern? And consistently people are like, I just want to know, like, is this really going to work? So, we're trying to get more candid conversations with people who refer to this as magic, who just don't even care. They're like, does it work or not? And did it solve my problem? And that's great to hear. I'm glad that was a 2,000+ mile investment that I had a lot of confidence would go well, but it's good to hear it.
Well, so Eric, it looks like Andy has managed to tee up a slideshow of some of the pictures of the install. Would you mind talking us through what you've been able to do? If we can get this is the first time we've ever done this part, by the way, so just bear with us if there's some technical challenges.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I can see it. I think this is
Yep.
the if Mike allows me, can I talk about your house? Is that all right?
You take yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
All that
so
stuff that
this,
you see, that stuff is stuff that Eric took out of those cabinets. By the way, let me
I
just point
know,
that
yeah,
out. Yeah,
what a mess.
it was nice and clean until he started throwing stuff all around.
Yeah, so this is the rear. This is the rear of Mike's Montana fifth wheel. So this, if you're looking at this television in the dead center of that picture, that's effectively like dead center to the rear of the vehicle. Those windows on the left and the right are looking out the back on dual slides. So we looked at the location of this cabinet as a potential good installation area. So in the top right cabinet area, we said, oh, this looks interesting. And what you see in the center of this, it's a little bit far away, but you'll see he's got a stereo system right above the TV that was factory installed. So that's kind of like a little gold mine for me. I go, ooh, I bet you there's all sorts of power and areas to run wires that are going to be available here from our friends at the factory. We popped off those little stereo fronts and found everything we needed to do an internet stall, and we went straight up from this rear cabinet that you see up on the right, and ran our roof antenna up to the roof. And we'll get into this probably on the next shot, but I'll keep my comments until I see the next one. Okay, cool. So we purchased a roof mountable box. This is just a 9 by 6 by 4 inch waterproof exterior box that you can pick up from anywhere. And this is just using a standard, what I call flush cut tool, to cut out a face to put in one of our wire entry systems that is made by a company called Icotech. Here is an example of that. If you can see my camera, we'll show this to you after we do the screen share. I'll show you a better example. But the goal for me with Mike, because Mike is a tech guy, he likes a lot of tech stuff, was I wanted to put one hole in the roof, and I wanted that hole to be a service inlet port that he could run anything he wanted to in the future through that same inlet port, without having to scrape out die core, without having to retool, without having to reseal. Could Mike just add a wire to this setup or add something else to this setup without having to redo everything? So by installing this box and our Icotech cable management system on the side of it, we'll show you some additional pictures here. If we go next, I think we've got one of the roof, right? Yeah, so what you see there is there's these small little cable inserts that are made for all the wires that come in from that roof antenna that powers our internet solution. Believe it or not, this sucker has 8 cellular antennas up on the roof, 2 wireless antennas, and a GPS antenna. So that's 11 wires. And then I have to add Starlink. So it's 12 wires. So if you had 12 wires going through some junky cable gland system, it might just not look very good. So we use the Icotech products because they not look great, but they're modular, and then you can change them out if anything changes in the future. So what that looks like is we drill a single hole down from the roof, 2-inch hole, and then we grab a piece of, I think it's 1.5 inch, but it's actually 2-inch exterior diameter PVC. And we secure that down from the cabinet up through the roof. And if you can actually see that right there in that picture. If you look, you see that little piece of PVC pipe sticking up from the roof. And then we've sealed with self-leveling sealant the box all along the bottom, the pipe all around that, and the 4 screw holes that will be in the box that will secure the box down, creating a waterproof tight seal. So what that does is it gives you that, which you see right there, which is a very clean looking modular system that can input all of the wires from that roof antenna that you see over on the right. That's our Parsec Great Pyrenees, which is an 11-in-1 monster antenna, not monster in size, just amazing that they got 8 cellular antennas in there for dual 5G into a little 10-inch round circle. And that goes over into that box and then down into the cabinet. I think we've got it finished. Yeah, so that's kind of an overview right there. We went with a magnet mount surface antenna, more for flexibility in the future for Mike. I didn't want to create too many extra holes for him. So that antenna, that little square you see there is actually just a piece of galvanized steel. And we silicone that down to the roof with no screw holes. So we said, you know what, we're just going to put this down with no screw holes, and then the antenna just magnet sticks to it. It's just an interesting way to mount them up.
It also gives you the flexibility to run the cables out to that junction box, right? I mean, that's another element of this that makes it a little bit easier.
Exactly. I mean, there's certain also, like if I had put the antenna and just gone straight down with the antenna, that would have been fine, but we were very close to the rear cap of the vehicle. So the antenna, it might have like been a little bit further off. And also the Montanas have a fairly decent slant on the backside where they pitch water off the back. So I felt a bit more comfortable if the antenna was a little bit more centered, which also allowed me to keep it a bit further away from the air conditioners. They say it's 18 inches or more from an AC is fine, but I think a little further keeps it so it works really well at, really remote locations. And that kind of gives you an idea of what you get as a finished product. You see all those cables are going into all those little ports. And these aren't things that you have to figure out. We sell all the grommets and all the kits for everything we sell. So you just say, this is the product I have, and we send you the kit that works with it. You don't have to like pick all these parts. And then this is what the finished product looks like on the inside. What was that?
I was just going to say, what I also like about that is by separating out all of the cables, you're sort of making it harder for water to get in there through the combination. A lot of people try to do one big bundle of cables, and that's a great way to siphon water back into your RV, right?
Yeah, like get a big cable gland, stick a bunch of wires through it, and then just squeeze it tight. It works, at least for a year, but it's not optimal. To give you guys some backstory of Icotech, first of all, they're German, and they engineer like Germans. It's super over engineered, but these are designed for high industrial CNC factory wet environments. So these were designed to be in big, massive factories. When we called them and said we were bringing them to the RV industry, I had a lot of conversations with senior executives before they figured out what I was trying to do, and then they loved it. We're a global distributor of the product now, which we're excited about. But it's a great fit for what we're trying to do, because they're used to like harsh chemical environments and all this crazy stuff, and we're like, yeah, we just want to keep rain out, and it can't crack in the sun, basically.
Now the larger gray wire that looks like it's going into that box, is that the feed from the Starlink unit?
Yes, the big mama. That Starlink uses a Category 7 Ethernet cable, which most people probably haven't heard of. It's 8 millimeters in diameter. It's a fat cable. And it's needed because it provides power to the dish. That's why it's so big.
Right. And I was going to say, as part of this, not to lead the witness too much, but you went with the bigger, as Mike talked about, the bigger flat mount new Starlink setup, correct?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the problem with the $500 dish is you can't do an install like this because you have to take it down when you go to leave. So you'd be in a situation where I'd either have to create some plug or something. And I mean, Mike, I saw him doing karate chops and running, doing backflips, but I don't think he's super excited to get up on his roof every time he parks.
Yeah, I ended up using a telescoping flagpole that I mounted on the rear ladder, and to bring the Starlink in, you would have to bring it out of the dish, unwind it, put it on the pole, get that on the flagpole or on the ladder, extend it up, make sure it would lock. As soon as you got it up there, it wouldn't be locked and it would come crashing down. And then, if there was a lot of wind through the campground, you'd want to bring it down because, I think it's an 18-foot extending, and a lot of RVers use it and it's fine. They don't mind the work. You can take it sometimes and put it on a picnic table if you need to take it to a clear area for the sky. But the point is that it was a lot of work. It added 5 to 10 minutes of work. Then you had to get the antenna into the RV. Some people would come through a slide. Some people would put it in like a wet bay and then run an external extension cord up through the wet bay to connect to the router. But this, as you can see in that photo, I would say it's half as big again as the little pizza box, the standard one, but it's flat and it just picks up a lot more of those satellite signals. It's expensive.
Yeah,
it also doesn't need to articulate, right? The way the old one sort of needed to articulate. It doesn't need to move.
It is kind of on a little angle, I noticed, like that.
It's there's no moving parts. It's on a wedged mount, kind of tilted forward, like a car is tilted forward. Yeah. Mostly from a weather perspective. It's to make sure that water doesn't collect on the lid of it.
Aerodynamic, nothing else.
Yeah.
As you dive down.
Yeah, it's a spoiler. Yeah.
But that extra size makes, and Eric said it would make a difference, and it really does. It really does lock onto those signals so much faster.
Yeah, I don't have the exact. This would be for our friends at the Mobile Internet Resource Center, which you can check out our memberships for. But they have an epic Starlink resource center. But I believe it's around 100, like it's almost like 200% more surface area or 80% more surface area that it has access to the sky. The dish is, if you put it next to a standard dish, it's actually the size of 2 dishes. So it makes sense that it's got a much wider ability to look at everything. But most people don't feel like it's that much bigger because it doesn't have the big stick coming out of the bottom that you have to deal with and all that. But yeah, you saying it's much more expensive is not a joke. It's 4+ times the price. This is a $2,500 setup.
Yeah,
for the dish alone.
And again, I as I keep telling the people I've been talking to about this is not for the average RVer, because the router is also expensive, the antenna, but there comes a time if you work on the road, it's just not, you can't work if you don't have reliable internet. So for us, it's nobody wants to spend that much money, but it's still it's a necessity to do the job. The privilege of working from the road requires, I think, that you have a good, solid system. And man, I've been just blown away with it all.
And I see in the comments, Mark was asking about the ICO-Tex. They're not on our website yet. I did want to just cover that. But if you message our team at info@mobilemusthave.com and you have a particular installation use case, just message us and we will get you everything you need. It's all in stock. We have it all. It's just we just have to add it's like 150 different part numbers. So we're just dealing with that.
I had to introduce you all to Bo. Bo's out here with me.
Bo is awesome. My cat was very curious to know why Bo deposited that much fur on my clothes when I got home.
That's why Bo liked it. He liked your smell of your cat. So.
Bo is so cool.
What kind of dog is that?
It's what kind of dog is that, Mike?
Bo is a Norwegian elk hound.
Wow,
hey,
beautiful.
Say hi to everybody, Bo. There he is.
Looks a lot like
no more chasing birds.
Yeah, now there's birds running around the yard. Chickens, actually, from somebody another a couple of houses down here from where we are, but he doesn't mind chickens. He just likes to chase them. But the chickens bring coyotes, and we have coyotes that regularly run through here, and he takes a great personal offense of seeing a coyote in here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark just said he emailed, and we said we didn't stock them. They are in stock as of today. So I'll let the team know later today that they can change that messaging and that we do have them for the Ecotech stuff. This is all fireside chats where you're going to hear all the cutting edge stuff. So make sure you subscribe to these. I will try my best to always have some good follower only Easter eggs in here. Yeah, so to wrap up Mike's solution, because he did mention this is not for everyone, and I think that is absolutely true, but we have done a pretty decent job of trying to get a little bit of the flavors of for everyone out here. What Mike has is what's called the Ultimate Road Warrior 5G. That's our bundle. And then he has added the Starlink fixed mount option. So those together, we're going to be in the $6K territory. So you're spending a few bucks. Not going to lie, it's an investment, but time is money. And if you're making money with this solution, this is an area to consider. I've met a few folks on the road who either had to come off the road or have had to get different jobs because they couldn't figure this out. So that's everyone's personal preference. But to just wrap up some recommendations and then we'll stop. Ultimate Road Warrior 5G, and we'll put links in that in the description for Phyllis, who's asking a question on that. But for folks that don't necessarily need dual 5G, but want to go with the Starlink option, we have something called the Speed Demon 5G. It looks very similar, just smaller, and it's single 5G. Now, all that redundancy Mike is talking about how he never has problems, it's going to be hard to be redundant with one connection. But if you're going to put that Starlink into this, you're talking Starlink and 5G. This is a good combination that'll drop that price down by about $1,800 or so down. So this router is $999 versus $28 and change. So you come down quite a bit if you go with the what's called the Speed Demon 5G. And for that exact same price point, if you want ultimate reliability, the Ultimate Road Warrior, not 5G, again, saves you about $1,800. That's 4G technology. So you get dual 4G, plus you can add the Starlink. We covered that in the last fireside chat. I don't want to dive into 5G versus dual 4G. Everyone loves 5G because they've watched 10 million commercials. Good, that sounds great, but watch that fireside chat because they're the same price. I don't care what you buy, but trust me, you want to watch that to know which one's the better one if you're in that price point. I'm done. Sorry.
Mike, I mean, has you talked a little bit about this before, but what does all of this flexibility and capability unlock for you as you guys get to go continue your
it means
trip?
that means that I can't get out of work by saying, "Oh, sorry, I don't have an internet connection." So that's one thing. But it really means that we certainly, we, as I mentioned earlier on, we do a regular Sunday night live feed, and there have been many times when we just haven't been able to have a good enough signal to do it, and we have people waiting and watching for us, and you don't want to ever let an audience know that you can't get through because
Yes,
they say, well, wow, they may not get through, we won't watch them next week. So that means that I can be pretty sure that we're going to be able to have a good signal on Sunday nights. And also, as I said, I send massive video files for our YouTube videos that take, there have been times I would start to send a file at 6:30 at night, and I would just let it run all night long. And by 8:30 the next morning, it was still sending. It wasn't in yet. And that is very frustrating. So this, it's not like this, but as I said, I just sent some files that would have taken me probably a couple of hours. I just sent them through this system a little while ago this afternoon, and it was, I think, 12 minutes, something like that. Not very long.
Wow, that's
so
great.
that's a big difference, and that means I have more free time that I can, we tend to work on a schedule where we shoot a lot of video, or we're out taking photos. We just came back from the Elkhart dealer open house, and that you go, you shoot, you don't know how long a video shoot's going to come back, and then you want to put together. In our case, we had to put together our podcast, which came out yesterday. So I shot Monday, came back on Monday night, and wrote and edited the podcast, and bam, it was right up. I was able to send it right up to our servers instead of having to wait all night long to send those files. So it just makes my time much more efficient. And ultimately, it allows us to be more competitive with other people who are doing what we're doing. We're able to, content is king. And as soon as you send something up, the question is that what you did for us today? But what are you doing for us tomorrow? And you got to be thinking about tomorrow. So for us,
it's all about your next broadcast, right?
That's right. For us, I don't have that pressure and uncertainty of, can I get a good enough internet signal? It's only been 3 weeks now, and I've vowed that I would at least give it a month and maybe a couple more states. But we're on our way now to Nashville, and we'll be testing it out throughout Nashville and then into Eastern Tennessee. And I anticipate the same results. So I'm geeked.
Yeah, it's pretty geeky. If you want to really give us a run for our money, go to Orlando. That's a fun one for us to test, because that is one of the hardest places in the entire country to cover.
Atlanta?
We do it well. Orlando, Florida. Oof, it's got some cell problems, but we do it well. But if you wanted to if you wanted to be the guy who everyone's walking over going, you have internet? Go stay in 1,000 Trails Park in Orlando, and you'll sell a lot of internet kit there.
Yeah. I plan to do a full how video a week from Saturday that will show how this all came about, and how Eric and Andy climbed all up and trashed our RV and installed it. They actually cleaned up after themselves. They were pretty good.
Okay. It's been 3 weeks. The real cracks and stuff won't show up for a little while.
Yeah, don't tell me that. Yeah. But it is a nice system. And again, after 12 years and much of it in frustration over just not having enough internet to get the job done, this was worth. I think I'm prorating it and figure I got another 12 years to go, and it'll work out to just another a few $100s a year investment after it gets all done. But we have connectivity, and
we appreciate it.
Yeah,
we're so excited to have somebody who speaks plain English, and isn't overly technical. Turning all the dials and everything. Which is great. Technical folks love this stuff, but we want to know that the average consumer who's just a high demand internet user can get this stuff going and love it.
Our motto is no geek speak. We don't do any geek speak. So
I think that was the title of one of your books, right?
That was the title of one of my books. Yes, the No Geek Speak Guide to the Internet. I wrote one. Yes. Wow, you did your research. Yeah,
I tried. Absolutely.
Yeah,
we will follow up on this channel, I believe, next week with an installation video that Andy's going to publish. That we'll go into some more of the technical things of what we did for the installation, and that will tee up us to share your channel and everything that you're doing with our followers, so that they can check out your future video as well, which I'm sure will be better produced than ours. We really appreciate it, and I'm just glad I could help.
Well, it's great. We're thrilled, and I've been very impressed with the company. And I should tell everybody, by the way, that how we found you through our friends Chris and Cherie of the Mobile Internet Resource Center. They've been working with you guys for years. They are our go-to experts for RV connectivity, and I got to the point I said, guys, I got to have a great system, and that's how we connected with you. And the service has been great, and I think you enjoyed the challenge of it. I think you really did. So
I did, and I got to quietly tell my wife that I was driving out to Indiana and I might be picking up a new RV on the way. So she's like, "You brought home what?" And I'm like,
Just
"Well,
thinking.
you know, it was work. It was for
It just
work."
attached itself to the trailer. I don't know what happened, you know.
Yeah, well, it's like it's just a small bumper pull. It's okay. So, well, you guys will see that in future install videos. I'm excited. We got an all aluminum ATC trailer that has its own set of challenges when you're sitting in a giant metal box trying to get internet. So, it should make for some fun.
I mean, Mike, lastly, what else do you have planned for the rest of the year? Where are you guys headed, and what's your plan for what can we tell our massive audience to go look
Well,
look for you for?
one of the ways we travel is we have what we call our serendipity travel, and it's kind of like oh, look, there's something over here, and we turn that way. But in general, we're off to Nashville and Tennessee in the next 2 weeks. We've got some stuff we want to do in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan before the snow starts to fly in another month. We are looking at the Tampa RV show is the next big show we'll probably go to. Then there's a whole trip through Tampa. The debate now is whether we're going to leave Tampa and head straight to Quartzsite, or whether we skip Tampa and go to Quartzsite and take our time getting out that way. We usually do all the big RV shows, and we've done Quartzsite, but we haven't done it in a couple 3 years. And I love traveling west. And now that I have this system, I don't have to worry about.
I might meet you out there for that. Quartzsite is one of the most fun places to show off that system because everyone is hurting out there for internet. That's great.
Well, they're all claiming. I just interviewed Kimmy King, who puts on the big Quartzsite RV show, and she says that I asked her about internet, and she says everybody's using Starlink, or there's a new system that people can buy for a month. And she didn't know what the speeds were, but I don't think it's really fast speeds. But I'm thinking I can make up a little money and just charge people to come in and use my system. You know, if they have to.
In the first Escapers Bash, I provided internet to the entire bash. Sorry, not the first. That's not fair. Chris and Cherie ran the first. My dates are off. It was 2016, so they couldn't make it. I believe it was the second annual. It was either the second or third. Yeah, so we were broadcasting Wi-Fi to the entire campus there. It was fun. So it can be done, but that was much slower speeds back in those days. But yeah, your system's cool. Like what I do is we can tune your system to not use the local towers that all the people are on. And we can point you out to 5 mile out towers because it's so flat out there and get your speeds way up. There's some really fun tuning that we can do.
Are you going to be in
Yeah, I might be. My wife was just talking to me about going west, and I was like, really? Because we have a 9-month-old, and I didn't think I was going to get another swing at that before school. But she's like, hey, if we don't do it now, we're never going to do it. And I'm like, let's go.
Yeah,
good answer.
The Quartzsite is. I love the desert, and I will come last few days of the show, and we may do a couple of podcasts from the show, but then everybody leaves, and the desert is all open and wide open for us, and that's my favorite. February is my favorite month in the desert, so that might be that's if I can talk my wife into it. So
yeah, well,
but she's easy. She probably wants to go more than I do, so
we'll figure out how to combine something and get some creature comforts that everyone can appreciate, and that sounds great. I love it out there. But yeah, from an internet perspective, I think that the amount of people that go out there for like 1 week, it's just impossible for them to invest in the infrastructure they would need. And then 90% of the time, no one would be on that network. So it's like, that's why the internet's so bad out there. It's like population 1,100, population 11 million.
Well, the population in Quartzsite goes from, I think it's 900 in the town. And then during the month of January, it's up to 1 million. 750,000 to 1 million RVers come and settle in that BLM land all around Quartzsite. It's an amazing. Every RVer needs to experience it because it's pretty cool.
It is cool.
I think
Awesome.
Eric, at one point you had some good drone footage of Quartzsite. Well, maybe we
Yeah,
can
I
link to
did.
that somewhere too.
I've
You know,
got a bunch
that's
from 2 years back that we can. I got, long story short, I had 5 bars on a Verizon tower and no data. And I finally found the Verizon tech, and he's like, we don't plug data into that tower. I go, what's it for? He goes, it's for phone calls and emergencies. I'm like, okay, thanks. So that's, and everyone's walking around going, it says 5G. I can't bring up a website. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
but your phone call's really clear. Yeah.
Well, you're connected via 5G to that tower. There's just nothing past the tower connecting you to the internet.
Yeah.
So hopefully this year is better. That was 2 years ago. But Mike, it's so good to see you and talk to you. I guess we can throw one more Easter egg in, is that I surprised Mike and dropped, after his install the next day, dropped off a full water purification system for him. So he'll talk more about that on his channel if he likes it, or he'll FedEx it to me if he doesn't. We'll see.
Pure water. Yep. Well, don't give away all my stories now, Eric. That's all coming.
No.
Well, I mean, it might be a bad story, so we'll see if you like it. I have not asked for any feedback. I said, test it, make sure you really think it's good or bad, and tell me what you think, and cool stuff.
Will do.
Well, I'm excited that we have another a tester for all of this new tech. So it's Mike, we appreciate you letting us mess with your setup that way, and
it's awesome so far. It's amazing. I really have been amazed. I don't say that easy, so it's been great. Well, thanks for having me on. And my video will be on our channel, our YouTube RV Lifestyle channel, on the 14th of October. So
okay. Well, so when that video goes live, we'll add it as a pinned comment on this video, so people can go check that out as well. For our audience to come check out your audience. And other than that, well, thank you so much for taking the time to spend the hour with us, and we really appreciate it. And have fun out there on the road. We can't wait to see where you go next.
Yeah, well, we're on the way even now as I start to pack this up. So.
Yeah, I was going to say we have a pretty hard out here, in the sense that you're packing up to head out on the road this afternoon too. So
yep. I got to get to Nashville by Sunday and test out 2 more states with this new system, so I can say we've been in 5 states with it so far. So thanks, guys.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks, Mike. We'll see you soon.
Happy trails.